All right, here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome back to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame number 191, Debunking the Feminist Lies, Sabotaging You. I guess you had intended to give me a different title, but you never did, so I just left the one that you...
No, it's fine. I had intended to look into it, but then I got into a discussion about immigration, single motherhood, AI with a patron, and then in Grok, or not Grok, Perplexity. So okay. It was a long and interesting discussion, but I'm not sure it may become relevant to this topic, but it may not. And also I was thinking, I don't know if there is a better title for this. So yeah, let's just go with it.
All right. Well, all right. So just in brief, we're going to be looking at this episode of Tucker Carlson's independent podcast series where at the time he was doing interviews. I think these days he does a bit of a mixture of commentary and then some accompanying footage and data, and then he brings on a guest. But at this point in his career, this was from a while ago, maybe a couple weeks back, he had on Chris Williamson of the pretty popular podcast series called Modern Wisdom. And Chris Williamson is focused, or at least his wheelhouse tends to be talking about I want to say men, but not in the men's rights way. It's more helping men better themselves kind of way, a self-improvement, like a life coach kind of thing. And they are discussing the problems that men face. And we're going to react to some of this. I think Janice Fiamengo, I guess, or maybe her and Tom Golden had done some reactions.
You know what? I think that's might be where part of what I was cued into this. I actually read one of their reactions to this. So
Janice
I think it was Janice. I could double check, but yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if it was both of them. I didn't see their reaction to it. I did watch this morning.
I'm subscribed to their subsets. So Tom Golden, Janice Fiamengo, and a few others. So substacks, subset of the Substack. How's that? All right. So that I'm subscribed to them. So I do read their analyses quite a bit. I recommend everybody, Janice Fiamengo and Tom Golden and a few others. They are still Bettina Arndt. They're still pushing out some interesting stuff. So I recommend going to their Substacks and subscribing. But I believe that this might have been part of the place where I saw it. And then it was also a patron recommendation. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sort of blanking on the exact genealogy of how this got across our desks. But I figured it was worth responding to because, Janice gave it the time of day. So let's go for it.
All right. So, yeah. So as I was saying, this is a conversation between Tucker Carlson and Chris Williamson of Modern Wisdom. I already have a couple of time codes here. So this section is basically Tucker's so you're doing a tour and you get a lot of people at your tour, but most of the people who have questions and they're looking for, guidance are men. So there is right there, before we even get into it, there's already a spotlight on an issue. So let's see this section here.
What advice do you give young men who ask you, what direction should I take?
Well, I think at least to start, finding out what you're interested in is a good place to begin. I mean, look, one of the problems of giving any advice to young men is that we need to do this strange kind of land acknowledgement, this social land acknowledgement before we start.
You know what he means by that?
Social land acknowledgement. I'm getting a sense of what he probably means by this. But
okay. I just paused for the banana butt.
It is Christian, it is Chris Williamson, so I don't know. I mean, he might go completely sideways to what I expect. Probably not.
Let's see.
Let's see.
You're going to talk about the problems of young men. one of the first things we need to do, or typically that people expect, is, well, it's very important for us to remember that women are still falling behind in this area. And it's also important to remember that up until...
I can't even deal with that.
You understand what I mean, though, right?
No, I would never play along with that lie.
There is this odd expectation that in order to talk about the problems of men and boys, we first must identify all of the other issues and plights of other more deserving groups.
Okay. Yes. And that's the tithe to the ideology, basically the overwhelming narrative of our society, which is that women have it worse. And we all have to tithe, or not all of us, because we don't, but we tithe to that narrative in order to support it, because it's basically an emperor has no clothes narrative. It's so, like, the more that I research certain aspects, unseen aspects of history, like the CCC camps, basically the camps that indigent, poor men were put in during the Great Depression, or forced into, basically, and all of the tremendous contempt that society has for men's autonomy. The more that I read about all that, the more ridiculous this entire notion that women have ever been oppressed relative to men is. And of course, feminists will always hand wave the very evidence that denies their framework as patriarchy backfiring too. So it's more evidence of the very thing that actually discredits their framework. So of course we all have to tithe, because it is, when you think about it, functional nonsense. And the more you look into it, the worse it gets. The worse this narrative gets, the more ridiculous and unethical and actually hateful this narrative becomes. The more you look into the research, the academia surrounding it, it just becomes deplorable and indefensible. And yet we still have to do that, because that's the nature of social power. Or they have to do that. We don't. I mean, I don't think you and me, do we feel like we have to tithe to the goddess of women worsting? I don't do it. Apparently, Tucker is also pushing back on that too, which is a nice sign. It's interesting to see Tucker be more red pill than, well, I mean, I guess Chris Williamson never really was super red pill. So he still conforms. Basically, he's just confessing that I still socially and emotionally conform to the dominant narrative, regardless of its moral bankruptcy.
Well, I don't know. I think he's acknowledging that it's a bullshit like expectation, because he said, before you talk about men's issues, this is like what is sort of like instilled in us. And yeah, it's programming. Everybody responds to it. Like, it's literally programming people to start by saying, well, before I start talking about the group that we've all collectively agreed completely arbitrarily is on top of everything, let me first start by saying that they're, the other groups, the women, they also have problems. And I think that's the only way that notion stays, like, say, dominant, is that we just have to keep reciting the mantra to remind ourselves, wait, before we talk about men, and it's also to guard against people doing the whataboutism. Well, what about the women though? And of course, they're like, that's on purpose. It's supposed to terminate rational thought, so you can so anyway,
insert nonsense. I did find Janice Fiamengo's Substack on this, and she was not thrilled with the way that Christian Williamson conducted himself in this meeting, or this interview. He does say that this is pressure that's placed on, but then he continues to sort of concede to it or submit to it, at least according to her.
No, I look, I watched it. These guys are purple pilled at best, probably more still in the blue pill, but they are. I don't know why we have to be so absolutely uncharitable. Like, these people are working this stuff out, guys. Like, can we just stop just attacking them because they're not red pilled enough? Like they're on the journey, okay? We have to encourage people to arrive at the conclusion. Like, he's saying things that are already heretical. By just saying that's a heretical statement, okay? So let's please stop being so black-pilled in the comments, please. It's really hard to look at. We should be encouraging people. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time doing this. Like, I've been doing this for 10 years and no one wants it to get better because they just want to be able to say that they're the only people that get it. And it's really annoying. So please, let's try to be encouraging. So yeah, these guys are purple pilled at best. It's fine. They're not going to get it 100% right, but I will give credit where credit is due. So Tucker says, I'm not playing that game,
but
and he
I
shouldn't.
think we should also recognize where there needs to be progress.
Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
If Chris Williamson is recognizing this pressure, but then ultimately conceding to it, then we should be honest about that. We should say you may be recognizing it, but where it matters, you're still conceding to it. And I mean, I don't think it's like this is black pill to point out that, yeah, they're on the path, but there still is path. And
yeah, I mean, look,
yeah.
if you look at anyone else that's talking about this stuff, or most other people, they're still completely on the women have it worse bandwagon. And if not the straight up men are criminal by nature bandwagon. These guys are not doing that. And I think that is something that I'm not saying we should celebrate, but we should take into consideration, because this is not a simple process. It is not a simple process for people. So
yeah, okay. But I mean, if Williamson says something that I don't agree with, I am going to.
Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead. I'm not
disagreement.
here to tell you what, like, I'm not here to tone police anybody. I'm just trying to like offer perspective before we get into it. So we know where people are. But there's another like 2 minutes or so of this section. So we're gonna keep going.
Go ahead.
Okay? All right.
And this is something.
What world is it? I mean, I'm amazed that requirement still exists or anyone takes it seriously. It's so absurd.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a shame. I think it's basically you saying, I know I'm about to talk about a group that you think might have previously been in a privileged position, but now it's really important that we talk about some of the shortcomings that they're dealing with. I'm going to show that I'm on side, I'm an ally, and I understand how this is framed in the broader context of whatever. This is something that I've become particularly frustrated with.
All right. So he's still talking about the land acknowledgement. And this is the thing. I was never a big Chris Williamson guy, because I watched Modern Wisdom, and and I think he still is in a lot of ways, still like pretty like, mildly pro-feminist, right? Like, but I think that it's starting to like take a toll. Like the more of this he does, the harder it gets, because that's how it goes. Like you start off and you're like, I'm going to be egalitarian. And then you're doing the egalitarian thing or the complementarian thing or whatever it is. Like Warren Farrell, you're very gentle. And you still get lambasted and attacked. Like he's lumped in with the manosphere, right? He's lumped in with the Andrew Tates and the Nick Fuenteses and whoever else the orthodoxy dislikes. And I think that he just says, well, I'm just going to keep plugging away at this thing that I'm doing. And over time, I think he's starting to realize that like being rational, being agreeable, being, sort of like subservient, tithing the ideology, it's not yielding any grace. It's not yielding any results. And I mean, he probably hasn't suffered quite enough yet, but I think that's just the way this goes. This is the process,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
This social land acknowledgement thing.
The requirement to self-castrate before saying obvious things.
Yeah. And we don't do it in the opposite way, right? We don't say,
some of us don't do it at all.
We're going to have a conversation about breast cancer. But it is important for us to remember that male suicides account for nearly as many deaths as breast cancer do, and men are falling behind in education and employment, and there have been these structure. And now that we have done this, we can finally get on to talking about breast cancer.
We're excited to announce a new partner of our show, Poncho.
Sorry, that was a stupid ad read, and I accidentally didn't go to it. So anyway, yeah, he's explaining like how this works, but we could go to 10:0. Let me see here. 10:03, 10:02. Oh, here we go. This is the end of the ad.
Enthusiasm. Has it occurred that there's a connection between these phenomena?
Which ones?
Well, that maybe men are in a dire state because they have been browbeaten and demoralized and attacked for their immutable qualities that they can't control, that they were born with.
Mm.
And this is going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder, right?
Well,
I
first
mean,
of all, what are those
when Tucker's
immutable
talking, you
qualities?
have to understand that oftentimes he sounds like he's asking questions, but he's actually making statements. But go ahead.
No, that's a very pointed point. But I would actually extend that and ask, who gets to decide what those immutable qualities are? Like who's deciding this? Is it
Mhm.
feminist framework around toxic masculinity? And the other thing is that, of course, when feminists hear him say that men are being attacked for their immutable qualities, feminists will immediately pivot to saying, but we attack male socialization, except the way that their conjecture functions is the only thing that could possibly be the vector for masculine ideology, and it's 100% penetration among men, isn't even biological factors. It's simply the label man. That's it, based on a biological category. There's nothing else that can explain why what they term as masculine ideology, which is all of the evils that they ascribe to men, has a one-to-one penetration with the word, like the legal and biological label man. So when
Yeah.
he says immutable qualities, what he's talking about, if you actually look at the feminist conjecture, is simply being a man. That's it. The biological category of XY. That's it.
Yeah.
That is the immutable characteristic that men can't escape. And of course, feminists ascribe all kinds of criminal and antisocial behaviors to that biological category. And then they hand wave it by saying, no, we're actually talking about an ideology. That's why they refer to masculine ideology rather than masculinity, because they want to say that this is something that men chose, that this is a belief system that men chose, so that they can condemn men without running afoul of this very serious ethical questions of creating categories, creating biological categories that are born criminal, which is what they've done with men. But the other thing is this, what are these immutable characteristics? And it literally is just being identified as a man based on your genetic structure. That is the immutable characteristic that men can't escape based on feminist theory. And the fact that if you are born XY, you will have what they term masculine ideology, which is all the social ills that they ascribe to men and only men, stamped on you. And that is effectively and functionally, in every real sense, simply declaring a biological category born criminal, which we have so much like ethical condemnation of that because of how it has been used in the past for eugenics, how it's been used in the past to justify genocide and marginalization, segregation. This narrative is subject to severe constraints in academia, except in one situation, when a group of people, namely feminists, declare men to be born criminal. And I'm talking about the ethical, like I don't know if I have like a really good way of visualizing this, but this is a massive ethical breach.
Mhm.
And feminists would say to him, oh, it's because of socialization. And yet they're using that as a fig leaf to hide the fact that they have constructed a bioessentialist category. They have turned a biological category into born criminal.
Yes.
And that's the other thing. Like, people operate under this, they can't correctly condemn feminism for what it is, which is a eugenicist supremacist narrative. So it is basically a supremacist narrative based on genetics, because when you declare half the human race is essentially criminal because of a biological marker that you are ascribed male at birth, if you say that half the human race is criminal, is born criminal, that is a eugenicist supremacist narrative. And yet feminists get away with it because we allow them to pretend that they're appealing to socialization, that actually it's men who are being socialized to being criminal. It's not that they're just criminal by virtue of their birth. Somehow there is a socialization force that's making every man, regardless of ethnicity, class, culture, religion, nationality, every single man on earth is being inculcated with this criminal miasma, like this criminal framework. It's being stamped on him somehow. But there is no socialization mechanism proposed. So there's no mechanism proposed. So it functions, since there's no mechanism proposed, it functions as a biological, as saying someone is criminal based on a biological category. I know this is some abstract stuff, so I'm probably losing people. Just suffice it to say that feminism is hugely unethical and has been operating in an incredibly unethical space for its entire existence. And the fact that we need to tithe to it is appalling.
Yeah.
It's just, it's wrong. Right now, feminism should be being investigated for massive ethical breaches, because this stuff doesn't just stay in their little academic pus-filled cyst. It leaks out into policy. It leaks out into political positioning. It leaks out into services for survivors. It leaks out into academia, where it's used to inform how to treat vulnerable boys and what to tell them when they're young and they're developing. So this is just, okay, let's keep going.
All right.
Like 40 years, and all it has done is destroyed men and make women crazy. Like the whole thing is just terrible. It's like the worst thing that's happened ever in the West. So like maybe there's a reason men have no direction and are addicted to porn and a million other things, because they're told constantly that their lives don't matter. Like,
yeah, well, I think
So, yeah, the worst thing ever? Probably, yeah.
we've seen a lot of structural changes, and what's really interesting is how this has come into land existentially, psychologically, like karmically within men. But the structural changes are what I think kicked a lot of this going. So education and employment are the two big ones for men. In education, it seems like the current education system was always set up in a manner that girls were going to overperform in. They had the brakes put on them for a while with regards to encouragement.
All right, pausing there. So I think what?
What are
Yeah,
you?
he's
You
doing
are.
that.
I'm sorry. He's talking out of his ass.
Yeah.
Like, we are now hearing Chris Williamson's ass speaking.
Yeah, he's still like, that's the thing though. It's almost like, I have to say, and I know this happens, like a lot of people, they have it's almost like I don't know, like some trigger in their brain that's like, no, back up. You gotta we gotta include women in a positive way now. Like I'm not kidding. It's like some kind of like, mental thing that kicks in, and they're like, wait, let me quickly pander, and they can't help themselves. And I think I've seen it.
It's
Like,
tithing. It's tithing to
yeah,
his
but
identity.
I'm saying it's not something that people are consciously doing. I think it's like something that just kicks in. It's like so deeply embedded in us that people have a hard time not making that exception, that comment,
Well, if I may, I
Yeah.
think it's because he has, as most men do, an identity that centers around protecting and providing for women. So exiting that identity is psychologically fraught, right? So he has to, in order to talk about these things, he has to conceptualize himself not as a protector and provider, but a being with inherent worth. And that's difficult. So he has to put all the training wheels out, and get the water wings on and get the padded helmet. And he's like, okay, I'm braced. I'm going in the danger spot. And, like maybe people like you and me, and well, maybe not me because I'm somewhat female, but, like our audience, they don't need to have all of the water wings and the training wheels and the padded
Sure.
helmet and all of this other, and the knee pads, and that we can just be like, okay, we're going there. But somebody like him, he's probably very deeply invested in protecting and providing women, and that defines his identity to a great degree. So when he talks about issues, he says, okay, well, now we need to focus on men. But don't get me wrong. I still recognize, the importance of female victimhood and being able to save women. So I think that's the impulse behind it. It's
Yeah,
not
sure.
really like a negative thing, but it is pervasive. Like it's
Yeah.
such an annoying thing, It's
Yeah,
just like,
I know.
can
It's
we
hard to get away from.
just shut up about that? Just for a
Mhm.
little bit? Like just, we're not gonna, if we care about men, we're not gonna suddenly be like, all right, let's just all kick those women into the trash. Even if men get really upset at women, I doubt that we're going to vastly change how men are structured, to like, I know that there is some pushback on this, but I would argue that there is a lot of male instincts around protecting and providing for women and children, and that you're not going to change that by simply acknowledging the problems that men have. In fact, what's going to end up happening is men are going to be able to solve those problems, and then they're going to be better at doing the
They're
things
gonna
that men
solve the problems
do
and use their new fixed state to better,
to better women
serve
and
women and
children.
children. Yeah,
It's absolutely ridiculous. And
absolutely.
part of the reason why we're stuck in this feedback loop is because feminists have convinced us that men's inherent nature towards women is predatory. So we think we have to cling to these narratives to prevent, I don't know, deadly I don't know, snidely whiplash from coming out. So
Oh,
he's
okay, yeah.
like, oh God, I better get my anti-snidely whiplash defense in place. At least I become him. That's like,
Mhm.
well, that is directly because of feminists like blood libel against men. Their unsupported assertion that men exploit women for their own benefit, which if you look throughout history is ridiculously false. But
Yep.
anyway, so I mean that's where I think that comes from. Yeah, have some sympathy. He's the Matrix has him, but he's trying to extricate himself, I suppose, a
Right. No,
little.
they're gonna struggle with this stuff,
Yeah.
but and also they're looking at, well, I don't know. Yeah, they're looking at solutions or potential solutions that are not, let's say, they seem accessible, but they're not practical, and they're not, I don't know, like they're not tried enough. So
Mm.
like, anyway, let's go to the next bit here.
If you're a white man, you get fewer opportunities, period. And it exists. And no one's done anything about it, by the way, despite lots of, oh, we're going to fix it. No one's even tried to dismantle it. So,
Yeah.
like, what is that?
But I think a lot of men feel like their difficulties are dismissed out of hand.
Feel?
Well, yeah. I mean, again,
Okay, no, sir. They are dismissed out of hand. You just went through saying that. Just went through that we have to have constant caveats and reframing and make sure that everybody knows that we're not challenging women's role as victim of society. We have to do this constantly, tiptoe. I mean, I wanted to say that this discrimination in education is not new. This is something that has been happening to men since like the 19th century. Let's say the turn of the 18th to the 19th. Men have always had more difficulty with getting proper education. Well, once that education it was seen as more of a civic duty to bring it to the lower classes. Men were always struggling with this stuff, like
yeah,
struggling with attendance in school, struggling with literacy and all of that, because men were often used for their physical abilities. Right? So you don't need to be literate to pull a plow. You don't need to be literate to put down train tracks. So there's always been this pressure on men to get a job early, whereas women stayed in education. Like, this is something that people don't recognize. In rural Canada, it used to be like the graduating classes of high school. For example, my husband's graduating class graduated in like the 90s. His graduating class was 3/4 female, and the rest of the boys had been pressured to drop out and get labor jobs, right? And they were significantly, like, in terms of their academic achievement, there was a significant gap, but nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. Nobody cares about it. So to say that there was some kind of pressure put on women to be less in the past, that's absolute excrement. There's nothing supporting it. So I'm sorry. Like, I appreciate that Chris Williams is struggling with these things, but could he actually struggle with some actual facts, right? And
Yeah.
recognize these situations
Well,
for
I
men.
mean, again, like, probably working with whatever the information of the mainstream was. I think that if you ask a normie person on the street if, like, women were denied education or had struggles in the past, like 99.9% of them would say yes, and you'd actually have to, like,
And why
go
is
out of your
he
way to do the
behind?
work to learn the truth about that.
Why is he behind a microphone talking about this stuff?
Well, I
Like,
think that I don't think his normal content is about women though. So I think his normal content is generally aimed towards men. Tucker's asking
mm-hmm,
him a question, and not in the same way like that, like MRAs do. It's not like, the kinds of issues that would put us on a path to learn about how well men do in fields like education or labor or agriculture or the military or whatever, because that's not what he does. He just brings on guests and they talk about things like health and fitness and dating and apps and, social media usage. So you're not going to get, I don't think he's going to end up in that vein, because he's not there, uh
mm-hmm,
then he's just not going to know that. He's going to go with what is it that everyone else believes. The women were oppressed
yeah,
in history. And both of these guys would believe that, by the way. And
who,
yeah, I
Tucker?
mean, I guess shame on them, but my point is most people think that. So it's like
Yeah,
understanding that, like, blue pill people are not bad people, even if it's their job to talk about men and women. Like, they're
mm-hmm,
just mistaken. So we're just pointing it out. That's fine. No issues there. But, like, let's, like,
yeah, but get educated.
I get it. I get it. Look, one time we had a guest on, Greg Ellis. Greg Ellis was an actor, friends with Johnny Depp, and we got really lucky. But we did a response to him once, and he had the same kind of, like, blue pill talking points about men and women, and I think that he kind of justified the Me Too movement, and
Mm-hmm,
I think it's all the same stuff that people will do, even as they're about to make criticisms or at least discover that things are not what they thought, and so they start by making some criticisms. But despite that, and we kind of, like, raked him over the coals when we did a response to Greg Ellis. But despite that, he came on our show and talked to us. And I
mm,
remember that he didn't say, you guys hurt my feelings and I want an apology. He didn't do anything like that. But he did say something about the way we responded to him that got me thinking ever since that day that, like, maybe we attract more bees with honey than with vinegar. And so what I'm trying to do for my own part is I'm not trying to have a series of videos where we respond to people who are trying to do the right thing, even if they're mistaken, and we're just bringing them all on to call them cucks of some kind, like trad cucks or lib cucks or feminists, closeted feminists, or whatever. I just want to know, look, you said this is correct, this is not correct, and just leave it at that. And I
okay.
because I
I'm
think
not
that,
really calling him a cuck, though.
no, I know you're not, but I'm saying, like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm trying to be, like, fair, and I don't want to misrepresent or be uncharitable to people who are mistaken, but not necessarily going in the complete wrong direction. And I don't think they're being, like, dishonest or disingenuous or subversive. Like, I don't think everyone who's talking about this stuff is my enemy. some people are just, they're on the right track, but they're a little off here. Some people are a problem, and I'll call those people out. But like, that's just where I'm at, like in my head with this. So I think that Tucker and Williamson they're not trying to make things worse for men. I think they do see that there's a problem, and they acknowledge that on some level it is the problem. Like, it is the most important problem. Like, fuck Israel and Palestine, fuck Ukraine and Russia, fuck the whole Trump thing, fuck the Epstein list, fuck all of that. Like, if you don't deal with the man and issue thing, then you're done. And they even get into South Korea and stuff like that in this conversation. So because of that, I will wave a flag for them to keep going, while occasionally saying, well, this is something you probably don't know, right? So
okay, fair enough. All right, so you don't know Chris Williamson, you don't know the history of education and discrimination
no, he doesn't
against
seem
men
to know.
in
Again,
education.
there's
And the thing is,
yeah,
a lot of what got so many men in education in like the 50s and 60s was the GI Bills. Are you going to really begrudge these guys coming back from a war and actually being able to go into education and get higher paid jobs as a result? Like, seriously, that's incredibly not cool. Okay, let's
yeah.
keep going.
So okay, I think do I need to? No, I gotta play some more. So this section, this already has some time codes, but this section is called "Why Female Happiness is in Decline." Not because they're really concerned about women, but they're looking at like both sides of this. Like, has feminism helped women?
I'm sure they
even?
are. Like, they also are tying it to the
Yeah,
two together.
but I mean, that's not the focus. I think that because I watched this video, so I think it's because they're like, well, feminism is obviously shit for men. Is it good for women? Oh no, it's not good for women either, right? So it's not good for anybody.
Whining from a patriarchy.
No, it's good for the Democratic Party.
Huh?
Is good for the Democratic Party because single people vote overwhelmingly Democrat. It's not just the single women,
labor
it's also
movements in general, right?
It's also single men. So if you can actually drive a wedge between male and female and keep people single, then you're actually creating Democratic voters. So just consider that. Understand that, our society, most societies or all societies sort of live and die on the health of their breeding colony. And the Democrats have made a political, they have made it a political boon to themselves to destroy it. So you might want to consider that. It's a thought,
Yeah.
I know it's partisan, but it's a thought.
It feels like men are in the modern world being made to pay for the supposed advantages of their father and their grandfathers.
Right.
And
he said supposed. So he's not necessarily agreeing that there were advantages. But this is true. It's like men are expected to pay wages that their forefathers never, like, they didn't benefit from, right? And in fact, their forefathers probably had worse lives. So.
Yeah, this how can you say that? Like, there were 3 million men who put through the CCC programs, and they were actually really deadly. Like, these are like the labor camps. They weren't called forced labor camps, but men were put in there on, if they were indigent and they were rounded up, they would be said, okay, well, you can go to jail or go to the camp. You can get a fine that you can't pay or go to the camp. If they were in a family that was on any kind of assistance, if you were an able-bodied young man, you were expected to go to the camp or your family would be kicked off of assistance. So, and whatever wages they made at these camps were sent home to their families to offset their assistance, and of course, in some cases their alternative was starving. So in every possible way, this was coerced. And they were forced into these camps. 300 million, or sorry, not 300, 3 million. That's not way too big. 3 million were forced into these camps, and they did hard labor. And the death rate was higher than double, like the highest industries, like the death rate of the most dangerous industries today. So this was very grueling work, grueling, dangerous work these men were coerced into. And then they they basically phased those work camps into the mobilization of soldiers in World War II. So forced labor during men were experiencing forced labor during the Great Depression for the great crime of being poor. Then they were experienced forced labor during World War II for the great crime of being born male. And yeah, so what are you talking about? The benefits of the past. Like,
Yeah.
I laugh. It's not funny. It's just horrifying.
No, it
The
is.
logic is absurd. That's what's
Laugh through the
freaking
pain.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It causes guys to check out. I mean, the term toxic masculinity, right? Think about that. Think about saying there is something about you which is so inherently broken. It's like original sin, right? There is this part of you.
Oh, it's worse because original sin, you can actually redeem yourself. Toxic masculinity is exactly what you were saying, Allison. It's claiming something is socialized, but in reality, you're framing it as biological, like it's deterministic.
It
Like there's
functions as
nothing that can be done
biological.
because there's no solution to toxic masculinity.
No,
There's no solution.
There's the only solution is complete submission to feminism.
Yes. Even
Yeah.
then, though, no, you're never free because that's not the purpose of the dialectic. You're supposed
This is
to
not a great freeze frame.
the pause phase. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's a little
Deep down that needs to be expunged in some sort of a way or exorcised. There is a bit of you that's broken. If you want to prove to guys that they're not welcome as a part of this conversation in a communal, collaborative, compassionate way, I think that's one of the best ways to get them to switch off. I mean, there was I collected.
Well, yes, of course. It is a narrative of submission. You are broken unless you submit to us. And that's where socialization comes in. It justifies the expectation that men always submit to women. So, funnily enough, the pathogen that spreads toxic masculinity through the populace is biology. And so it's your XYZ or your XY chromosomes are the source of your disease. But the solution is socialization through feminist framework. Yeah, that's and at no point did the academics who should have stopped and said, wait. We've gone down this road before. At no point did they actually push back against this and actually say, no, wait, if you're going to propose that this is all socialized, feminists, you need a plausible mechanism of socialization for what you're terming masculine ideology. Otherwise, it's just a biological category that you are claiming is born criminal. All right.
Do you want to say anything about like super
I do
chats
wanna-
or anything?
Sure. Oh, yes, right. I forgot to say that. Before I get into that, I do want to say that you can't reverse the causal arrow here. That's what feminists are doing. They're saying, well, the solution to toxic masculinity is socialized. Therefore, it's not a bioessentialist category. Herpaderp. No, it's not the way it works. You need a plausible mechanism of socialization before you can assert that your conjecture says it's socialized. Anyway, so yeah, if you guys want to send a super chat, that'd be great. I've also did actually put together the monthly fundraiser, which you can find that at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. No, feedthebadger.com/support is where we have our monthly fundraiser. Please do help out because we still exist and still talk about these things because you guys continue to support us. So that's feedthebadger.com/support and feedthebadger.com/justthetip to send in a message and a tip. Whatever, we benefit for whatever funds you send, and you get to send your comment not through YouTube's comment bumper car attraction or its comment thresher system.
One thing and then use that. Just like one thing. Like labyrinth is fine. The the filtration system, the septic tank, like whatever. But
yeah,
all right. Anyway,
doesn't end up in YouTube septic tank. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Most of YouTube is a septic tank. All right, so here comes the rage bait. Let's get into this. This is probably going to ruffle some feathers.
Strap in for this one. So,
Okay.
tall girl hypothesis was one of my favorites. This is one of my others. And this is the male sedation hypothesis. So, throughout history, there is an idea called young male syndrome. If you have a high number of young, unpartnered men, they tend to be antisocial. They push over cars and set granny on fire and cause revolutions and uprisings and stuff like that. If there has ever been a society throughout history that has lots of unpartnered young men, they tend to cause problems. When men get into a relationship,
Yes.
their testosterone drops.
Exactly.
All right, this is not the rage bait. He's just setting it up. He's saying in the past, when you had like a society where there were a lot of men who did not have spouses or families, they would tend towards antisocial behavior, is what he's saying. Okay.
Okay.
They have kids, their testosterone drops again. So in this regard, women very much do domesticate men.
Yes,
they make
exactly.
them more pro-social. They reduce their risk-taking behavior. This is
Exactly.
good. If you've got a baby at home, you need to not think, oh, I'll just jump off that cliff for fun. Like, no, there's a kid at home. Chill out.
Exactly.
So historically, there has been a tendency for these kinds of societies with high numbers of unpartnered young men to cause problems. Given that we have got high rates of sexlessness, displacement among young men in the
Can
modern
we
world.
respond to this?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think that's accurate. In fact, there is data that indicates that higher numbers of men are more associated with social stability. And not just that, there's this, it's not the, okay. Compare the amount of destruction caused by young men getting into wars that societies have decided are important versus any other category of destruction. Right? This is like the most radical, like if you really think of the most destructive narratives, they're the ones that society pushes on young men to go out and go kill other young men to solve its political problems and its diplomatic problems. So I think that this is, and also this is like, I really think you need to think about this narrative. I mean, really hard, because criminal behavior in young men is a minority. It's not common, right? And a lot of criminals are criminals that
Well,
not
he's
just
calling
when
it a
they're young.
hypothesis, technically. So yeah, I don't think
Hypothesis.
It's his theory. It's his theory. He could be wrong. He's obviously wrong, I think. But
Well, I
go
mean,
ahead.
like it's not a consistent thing. They haven't found it consistently. The other thing is that when they do find it, what is the relationship between greater numbers of men and displacement and economic, disenfranchisement? You have to untangle that. So it's like I don't think it's as strong a finding as he's suggesting it is. And the other thing is okay, well, we've liberated women from almost all the social constraints on their sexuality. Are they indicating to us that they, without those constraints, that they go for tame men, conscientious men, men who are good providers? No. They go for excitement. They go for the narcissistic personality style.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they go for good looking and bad, or what was that? Does he fuck good? Like
Yeah,
that's what
right.
they go
They want to
for.
go to the club and leave their kid with their sister or their mom or something.
Yeah, that's what they go for. So there should be some thought put into the idea that conscientious young men like might be drawn to Christianity or might have been encouraged to develop more in Christianity, who have a belief system around chastity, themselves exert a moralizing and taming force on young women, right? Because if you are in a culture where men see their sexuality in service of God and community and not outside of it, then the women have to conform to that too. And if they want to have fun times, they got to get wedded. All right?
Yeah.
And we are seeing what happens when we completely liberate women sexually from any consequence. Had they created a utopia? No. Have they created tamed men? They're reversing that. So maybe there's something to it, to actually, because this is the thing, like, where are all of these licentious men being rewarded and encouraged? Certainly not in Christian communities, and certainly not as you go past in the past in history and the communities that were very much about pursuing sexual control and ethics, right? So, I mean, can we consider that also had a civilizing effect on women, considering what we're seeing now? Like, oh man, this angel in the house traditionalism, I swear. It's
Yeah.
we gotta
Well, I don't
reconsider
think
it.
Chris Williamson is at all like trad. I think, but I mean, it again. These guys are blue pill normies, so mostly purple pill
Okay.
at best. But I don't know. All right. So there should be, yeah. Let's some more to this.
Is it that we haven't seen the concurrent kinetic outcomes of this? And
So he's saying he's assuming this has happened historically, and he's asking, so why hasn't it happened now? So why hasn't there been a bunch of
Because
men
it's
organizing a
nonsense.
revolution, destroying everything, whatever, acting out, chimping out.
Well,
Um,
because when does he think okay, has there ever been in history a bunch of men who just chimped the hell out because of no reason? Because they
well,
just
because they're
were hanging
unpartnered and they're
around doing
getting
nothing.
old. He brings up this anecdote or this story of these elephants. I don't think that's one of the time codes. I could get it if you want.
Mm.
That's supposed to be like like evidence to back his claims that there were these elephants and they needed to move the elephants from the herd from one place to another with helicopters. Um, but they couldn't take the bull elephants because they were too heavy. So they took the young elephants and the females and they put them to this other place. And the bull elephants didn't have any females to mate with, so they ended up like just killing everything, like animals and trampling, like rhinoceroses and shit. Like they were killing the rhinos. That's what he said, and that's sort of like an example of what he's getting at, I guess, or like where he gets his theory from. So I'm just letting you know where he's pulling this from. It's not from nowhere, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's right because we're not elephants. But anyway, so let's play some more.
it's my belief that men are being sedated out of their status seeking and reproductive seeking behavior through video games, screen, and porn. So this is not enough of a dose to make men happy, but it is enough of a dose to stop them from going nuclear, banding together, causing some sort of an uprising. So
Will you call this a hypothesis rather than just an obvious fact?
Look, I mean, I probably should call it a notion. I think for a hypothesis, you actually need to properly do a study for it.
I'm just going to state it as
Good. Male sedation.
Okay. Let me play some more.
Irrefutable reality.
Male sedation truth. Yeah, we can call it that. But I think that.
So, yeah. So he believes that men are sedated by, stimulus like drugs, alcohol, food, video games, pornography, so that they don't organize a revolt and overthrow everything or whatever, just cause the chimp out. And I know, and Tucker just agrees with that. So yeah, that's his theory. Go ahead and yell if you guys want.
I don't think he disagrees with it. I think he does agree with it.
No, he does. Yeah.
Now, I think that yes, men are being anesthetized. I don't think it's for anybody's benefit.
No, Tucker doesn't think it's to their benefit either.
Yeah, and I don't think it's because it's like, why would you even start with? Okay, I know this might end up being too critical, but why would you even start with this whole hypothesis of young men chimping out?
I mean, like they're grasping for answers, and that's what I think. I mean, he even said, admittedly, that it's not really a hypothesis. He thinks of it more like a notion. Tucker basically says, no, this is a biological fact, but I think they're both wrong. I mean, You know, that like it's really easy and tempting to blame porn and video games, which is like, I know that that's like the thing that's going to really piss people off. I think that men, like women, can be addicted to anything, and I think it can make them into like relatively unproductive members of society. I don't think that there's an argument that can be made against that. I don't think every man who plays video games is in that position. I don't think every man that smokes weed sometimes is in that position, or drinks, or gambles, or watches TV, or sports, or magic cards. Just like I don't think every woman that reads, Morning Glory Milking Farm or 50 Shades of Grey is like a useless lump of shit. I think there are some people who have addictive personalities and they get into something and they don't have the way to get out of it. And I think they've always existed. I think that like when you take away the medium, whether that's social media, because he said screens, social media, doom scrolling, video games, pornography, but you can just change that to something else, like whatever people used to do. TV, gambling, drinking, and a lot of people still do those things. So it's not an issue of the medium. It's the person, and we have to be able to discern the difference between someone who enjoys a pastime and someone who uses it for dopamine hits because they have nothing else going on. And those people don't need our ire or shame. They need our help, right? That's what I think. So
I am looking at my feed, and it is full of this feminist who is declaring that Grok is harassing her because
it do be like that, Mr. Stanton.
Because she's okay. So I said something, and I'd like tag
Mr.
Grok for
Stancil?
like I can tag Grok for an analysis, and then she responds to Grok, and then Grok responds to her, and she responds back, and now she's saying that she's being harassed by Grok. Oh God, this is
Yeah.
a joke. Just stop talking to it. And she's also referring to Grok as a him. I mean, this is freaking hilarious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, so let's keep going.
Video games, what is it that it gives men? It gives them a sense of progress, of camaraderie, of goal-seeking behavior. And, for winding down half an hour, a couple of nights a week, perhaps that's a cool thing to do. But when it completely consumes your life because you don't feel like you have agency or progress or you can make changes in the real world, so you supplant your real world pursuits for video game pursuits, we all realize that there is a dose-dependent curve that beyond which you are spending too much time in the virtual world. The same thing goes for screens.
Exactly.
This is the sense of camaraderie and group-seeking behavior that typically you would have gotten by going out and doing something, and shit would have occurred due to that. Again, says that.
All right. So they know that they're the irony of them being on a screen right now too. Not untrue. But here's the thing. The video games thing is not a cause. It is, if anything, at best, a symptom. But again, it's just like any other pastime, just like any other hobby. So if men don't feel welcome in the world, then it's not their fault. We have to like look at the root of the problem. Allison, are you distracted? Are you still on X?
Yeah, I'm on.
We're not doing this video anymore. Should we
No,
just
okay,
like see what
sorry,
you're doing
sorry.
now?
I'm going back. I apologize.
All right.
I was on Grok because I wanted to see an analysis of the data around excess of male population relating to social disorder. And then I got distracted by this feminist who has spammed my notifications with her allegations that Grok is harassing her or him. I don't know. Who knows? So I just thought that was, and then I went down the rabbit hole. I'm sorry. I'm back. I won't touch it.
So anyway, so let's go to the next one. 49. So that's about fatherlessness. And this is a big one here. So
I think that talking about inequality and talking about class problems is a really important issue.
Couldn't agree more.
fatherlessness is the real inequality.
Of course.
Boys who grow up apart from their biological father are 2 times more likely to end up in jail or prison by age 30. Fatherlessness is a better predictor of growing up in incarceration than being poor or their race. Young
Yeah, but we
And
can't
what's
talk
the
about
fix?
that.
What's the fix? What do they say is the fix? Because
They say that we got to put fathers back in the home, but they don't get into like the legislative stuff or anything like that.
yeah.
And they
Presumptive.
also, if I remember correctly, they also don't get into the deadbeat dad things. I know that's a thing that you see a lot where they're like, well, you guys got to raise your kids. They don't do that either. I think that I don't know if they talk about the incentive structure because that's the problem. Let me see if I can get a fatherlessness. Can I get to this section here? Depression, let me see. I'm trying to see. There's more about the father thing. It goes on for like 2 minutes. No, another minute. So we can listen to some more of it, okay?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is all obvious stuff. This is like my big thing I'm hung up on is putting dad back in his proper place, and that's going to require us to push the state for. Well, actually, they've already made a big change when what was it, the default shared custody that made a massive dent already. And the other thing I found out, that's the thing I shared with you, Allison. Are you listening or are you?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening.
All right. Where it showed that divorce is a social contagion,
Mm-hmm.
and that when a woman gets divorced, other women who are her friends that are married are more likely to get divorced too, because they want to feel like it's a social contagion divorcing your man. That's crazy, but it's true. So the opposite is also true. If you are married and you stay with a man and you are friends with other married women who are, with kids and stuff, they're more likely to stay married because they don't want to lose their social group. Like they don't want to lose that connection. And it reminds me of an episode of Mad Men, or like one of the first season. Um, there was and I know it was presented like you're supposed to feel really bad for this character, but in Mad Men, it's is it Don Draper is married and his wife, I forget her name, but the actress January Jones, they're like moving into their new place in the suburbs, and all the women have kids and their men, their husbands work during the day. It's like it's all very much the tradcon setup or whatever. But there is one woman that moved in that's a single mom. Or yeah, she's a single mom. And all the other women are like shunning her and treating her differently and stuff. And we're supposed to feel really bad for the single mom. And she's like, not happy about it. I don't know, I don't remember what the conditions of the divorce were, but it doesn't really matter. And but it's interesting because this is like literally like the opposite of what we are now like living with, where most like single moms are very common. And there is something to the social contagion theory, I think, that women they'll mold their lifestyle around the women that are around them. So and it's got nothing to do with the men, right?
Yeah.
So divorce is potentially a social contagion.
But
Anyway.
you can actually stop all of this without shunning or anything by simply
Yep.
instituting
Just
shared
do
parenting.
50-50 custody, and then
Just
it'll take on a
50-50
life of its
custody.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe if the single mom has taken pains to keep her ex and her children's lives, she doesn't need to be shunned. Who knows? Okay.
Okay, so I got some comments on the special chat.
Okay. You really
Uh,
want to go there. All right.
I mean, just briefly. So, something on the main chat. Somebody said this a couple times, so I'm guessing they want the attention. Let me see if I can find it. Somebody asked about game. Trying to see where it is. Maybe I missed it. Let me see. Sorry. I don't see it
Uh-oh.
anymore.
Yeah, no,
What?
it had something to do with teaching men. What do you think of teaching men to get women through game? I don't have a problem with it. I
I
think
don't
that we
care, but I just say that like that's not really our focus
it's not
because
our
my
wheelhouse.
thing is that I don't want men to get destroyed in divorce court or get falsely
Exactly.
accused of something.
That's our
So
shtick. Yeah.
yeah, and that's like no matter how much game you have, you run the risk of that. So
Yeah,
I know there are
exactly.
people that are like, you know, dating coaches or whatever that'll tell you just game her forever and you'll never get in trouble, but that's bullshit.
Ugh. God, that sounds exhausting. All right,
Yes,
guys, get those super
it's
chows
gonna
in.
save
Feed the
you.
Badger.
Uh,
Feedthebadgers.com/just a tip. Come
One
on,
Bridge
get 'em in.
11 says, "Are you a fan of the Critical Drinker?" Yeah, he's all right. Um,
Eh,
he's
I'm all
okay.
I think he's okay. Like
Yeah, he's okay.
yeah.
I think he's still like trying to like stay out of the, you know, out of this conversation, but
Yeah.
he's trying to do this while
Eventually it's
reviewing
coming for
movies.
you
It's like
guys though.
there's no way.
Like
All right.
we are in the process of absolutely destroying our economic system. And the only way to rebuild it, as far as I know, is to revisit the issue of the relationship between men and women, because every economic system has that as its foundation.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
I know that people hesitate to realize this, but that's the first economic transaction is that between men and women. That's the
Hmm.
first. That's the very basis of all of it. That's the basis of the trust that underlies our economic systems. And we are about to face one hell of a crisis. Like I don't know how we're gonna. I know that usually we muddle through, but this one is quite the thing. Like I've said before, the fact that AI companies are 30% now, and if they were ever to justify the amount that their shares are worth, most of the human race would have to be unemployed. So, in order to actually not have a serious market correction, we'd have to destroy our consumer-based economy entirely. It's like it's this Morton's fork is it's coming, and it is something like who knows? Who knows what will happen? But I would imagine that the solution will probably come from where we're mining it right now, which is
Yeah.
men's issues, the relationship between men and women. Okay,
All
let's
right.
go for
So
it.
back to the video.
Men are more likely to end up in jail or prison than they are to complete college if they grow up in any non-intact home. Boys in fatherless homes are twice as likely to grow up with depression. Girls in fatherless homes are 10 times as likely to grow up with depression. So a big question there is this generation really depressed, or did they just grow up without dad?
Mm.
But the big
They grew up without dad. Stop you there. They grew up without dad because they live in the most abundant, the safest, the most technologically advanced, the most like um protected society in all of history, but there are no fathers.
Mm.
So there's no cause for depression other than they don't have the dad there that provides like all of the various social, cultural, and even like biological and chemical things. That's why girls are all on SSRIs and boys are, you know, in the shape that they're in. So, and this is the thing too that just real quick, um, this is the thing that actually does annoy me a lot about people in this conversation is they still are getting this like, well, men have to do something. But the problem is, I mean, I don't disagree because women aren't going to. So that's the reality. Women are not going to do much. Maybe just stop shitting on men is a good start. But I'm not putting all of my eggs in that basket of like women changing things in some drastic way because I don't think they have any incentive to, and they're just gonna like they'd rather just ride out everything till to make themselves happy and not actually try to do something for the greater, let's say the greater good of society. But we have to understand that those men are like they're 2 or 3 generations out of a father. So they're completely crippled. Like we have crippled them. So now we have to help them, not shame them, not berate them, not
Hmm.
blame them, but help them to get up there on their feet and like encourage them and build them up. That's what we have to do. And it's not to feed an ego. It's because they're crippled. We have crippled men, Zoomer men and millennial men in particular. And alpha men are probably like, I mean, they're too young now, but soon they're going to be adults. So
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's how many more time codes do we have?
for that's all of them. I do have some on feminism where they discuss feminism a bit. I don't know if that's something of interest to
Sure.
you.
Let's go take a look at that. Let's see what they have to say
Okay.
about feminism.
So we got one, let's see. Criticism of modern feminism teaching women that true liberation means having sex like their brother and working like their father. Or there's a conversation about female freedom. There is something kind of interesting. They talk about Me Too. I don't know if you want to see that.
Where do they get sex like their brother? Like in the past, their brother would be, Christian too.
Well, I don't know
right?
about the past. I mean, I think they mean like how they perceive men today.
Oh,
But
yeah. But
yeah.
why do they think that even if men can handle casual sex more, look at the outcome here, right? Like the outcome is not beneficial on a functional level. And I don't understand why there's this ever-present belief that there's so much like encouragement for young men to like. It certainly doesn't exist in more conservative communities, as far as I can tell. Like the sluttiness is not supposed to be like, both men and women are not supposed to do it. But regardless, let's hear what they have to say.
I'm gonna go to 5945.
I think that if you are a woman who is a mum and has daughters, or is looking for a partner, or has a partner and wants the partner to be increasingly good for you, you should be as passionate, if not more, about this problem than we are.
Oh, of course.
The very fact that men are being sedated out of being more useful is creating precisely the dearth of eligible male partners that you are probably conscious of.
It's driving women insane. I mean, I've never seen more crazy women in my life. I think of men as crazy and women as kind of stable and steady, and women in my life are. But you see women hitting each other in public, screaming, endorsing violence. Like, I don't even recognize that behavior. And I think it's...
What the fuck?
You're insulated from it. But like women are more like, I'm thinking women are more likely to advocate violence against, and I only say I'm thinking because I don't have conclusive data, but there is data being worked on, and it's starting to look like women, like Gen Z women are way more violent than Gen Z men, even though they don't necessarily act on it, but they often do with each other.
Yeah. Okay, let me check. No, it's been sort of a quiet day. I wonder if it's just
Super
because
chow.
Oh, cool. We finally got a super chow. Yay.
Yeah. Betty Adams gives us $5 and says, I cannot stand for this elephant slander. It was not the bulls left behind that murked the rhinos. It was the young elephants without bulls. Fewer male elephants meant more aggression, and they fixed the problem by adding some senior males in. Okay, that was my bad. I just misquoted him. He did say that. He did say it was adolescent males that were left behind, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that is a good point. Like literally he says that it's too many males, and then they solve the problem of violence by adding more males. Okay. Maybe you need to distinguish between types of males. Okay, let's all
right.
Let's continue.
It's so depressing to me. And I think that's all a reaction. That's all frustration over this question. Men and women need each other. There are no men. And because they're, wasting their energies doing pointless things, and it's driving women like bonkers. They seem crazy. Don't they seem a little crazy to you?
I have not, perhaps as you, the women in your life, I'm not around very many crazy women.
I'm never around crazy women. All the women in my life are like completely stable, and they help keep the men calm and less crazy. And that's, I think, the way it was designed to work. And it's like,
you are one weird outlier, Tucker.
Yeah.
Wait, Tucker lives in an enclave of autistic women.
Well, yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I think that women that are perhaps women that don't want for anything are probably like less of a problem than women who are anxious
Yeah.
about the future. And I'm guessing that because Tucker is well off financially, the people around him are also are. So they're probably all older. So they're probably all level-headed. And that's probably true of everybody. But um like if you look around online or whatever, you're seeing, I don't know if it's a subset, but it's like it's a different jungle.
Hmm. Okay. Fair
All
enough.
right. Oh, it was a man. My Boob Noor 486 says, "What do MRA think of game? It's a tool, but it won't protect you from divorce, child custody issues, and false allegations. Just letting you know. But yeah,
Yep.
man, have at it if you want. Just remember what you're getting into, and that's what
Yep.
we're about. Is warning you. Okay. So then we got conversation about female freedom, questioning the evidence that women wanted freedom. Whoa, it's a little bit 102, 49.
Whole life that pre-liberation, pre-Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem, it was The Handmaid's Tale. It was just a hellscape. Forced pregnancies and servitude to the patriarchy, and some guy in a wife beater beating his wife was just, but there's no evidence of that at all. Like, we have public opinion polling on this. Have you ever seen any that showed, like, I don't know, even a large percentage of American women pre-1965 are like desperately unhappy?
I've never looked at that.
Yeah, I have. It doesn't exist. That's all bullshit.
Interesting.
All propaganda. They're like a small subset of unhappy women. There's always a small subset of unhappy people.
All right.
And then it's increased massively since then.
Yeah, right. So this is good because he's questioning the patriarchy of yesterday, right? Which is bullshit. So I think that's good. One more thing I want to find that I thought was a bit of a
Ooh, we need some like finding stuff music.
no, I already got it.
Okay.
Okay. Page 45. This is interesting. All right. So they talk about a book
Okay.
at one point. And let me see. 137.15. I think this is like red pilling stuff right here. So
Okay.
for
Let's
not for
see
us,
the red pilling stuff.
but for these people, yeah.
You are aware of that because every man is aware of that. What the fuck is that? Like, that's not healthy at all.
What is he talking about?
To me, I'm just guessing. I have no personal experience with it, but that seems to me to be.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a little bit further back.
Yeah.
Very completely.
The goal of Me Too was to sanitize the toxic elements of male behavior. And instead, it ended up sterilizing most of them.
And what did it do to women? I mean, no woman wants to be treated in a way that's vulgar or cruel or dehumanizing. Of course, those are just, that's just dehuman. No one wants that. But is there any evidence that women didn't want men to be aggressive? I noticed there's been an enormous rise. I hear about it all the time in women asking to be choked during sex. I always talk to people about their sex lives. I'm interested in the topic. I think it reveals a lot about.
Gian Gomeshi would like to know your location.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, all right. That's
All right.
this is one of the things that I never thought Tucker Carlson would say.
I was surprised to hear it too, but it gets better.
Like,
it gets better. This
okay,
is like
right.
this is a good part right here.
People.
Okay.
I think it's the most human thing there is. I'm not embarrassed at all. I've never heard anything like that until about 10 years ago. This girl wants me to choke her. I remember it was like kind of horrified. I don't see any connection between sex and violence. I'm just not into it. But like, what is that? And it's very common. I'm not going to embarrass you by asking you if you are aware of that, but I know you are aware of that because every man is aware of that. What the fuck is that? Like, that's not healthy at all.
That is women's unfettered sexual desires. And it's so funny because I see it now that like there's guys out there who are actually looking at what women look like or look at and read about sexually and are absolutely horrified. And it's like, yes, this is what it looks like when you unchain the female sexual id. It is horrifying. And I knew about this because I have done like the fan fiction, the Tumblr, and I have seen it for myself many, many years ago. And now they're making it mainstream because they have absolutely no appropriate boundaries. We don't put boundaries on women's sexuality. We just insist it's angelic.
I
And
think
then there's
one of the first, if not the first, pornographic document was a book for women.
Mm,
It was like a poem or something. I mean, like other than like
I
cave
don't doubt
drawings
it.
of dicks, but like I think there was like a a piece of literature was like officially, you know. Um
Yeah.
the cave drawings of
Well,
dicks could have just been guys having fun. Like who knows?
yeah.
Og draw veiny triumphant motherfucker.
But
They're like,
yeah, so this
observer,
just
what do you
like
think of my phallus? And fast forward to like ancient Greece. They're doing it again.
okay,
Longus Maximus. I'm sorry, go ahead.
biggest dickus. Okay. I think we've gotten a little off the rails. Thank
All
you,
right,
Tucker.
let's get
Thank
back to
you.
this.
Okay,
Okay.
but
That
my
seems to me.
Oh, I'm
my
sorry, go
point
ahead.
was yes, that's okay. That's okay. I don't even know if I can still remember my point. No, when men are looking at women what they actually find sexually arousing, they're becoming more and more horrified. So I'm just wondering why we never considered the possibility that men's sexuality is actually a break on women's as well. You know,
Yeah.
that men actually pull women back from the brink of absolute degeneracy. I mean, maybe it's a mutual thing. Maybe we both pull each other. But at least men generally still get it on to things that look like women, except for the bronies, the subset of the bronies. But then they still have female personalities, so maybe that's okay. I don't know. They're like sentient aliens. Okay, that we're in
All
a
right.
weird space. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just guessing. I have no personal experience with it, but that seems to me to be an expression of a longing for male aggression that's gone in an unhealthy direction. Or did you read, the famous pornographic novel for women? Do you remember this?
50 Shades of Grey.
Did you read it?
No.
Well, I read it because I'm interested in women.
Okay.
I read it.
That's a great disclaimer so that you can justify reading 50 Shades of
Dude,
Grey.
it was the least erotic thing I've ever read in my life. I read it on a flight to LA. I was embarrassed to read it, but I was like, I'm interested in women. I want to know how they think.
Not even a twitch?
Literally, I took a celibacy pledge by the time we landed at LAX. I found it so repulsive and weird.
Okay. So
and it just shows that men and women are so different that things that turn them on are different.
Exactly.
It was all about control and humiliation.
Dude, so
100%.
Yes. Yes.
Have you read
Yes.
50 Shades of Grey?
I've read parts of it. It's
I hear it's just
controlled-
badly written too, with like
Well,
lots of errors.
It is badly written, in my opinion. In fact,
Okay.
we had to. When I read it with the patrons or part of it, and we had to. It was so boring that we changed Christian Grey to Christian Greybeard, of Pirate of the Seven Seas, and and
What, Pirate of the Seven Seas, perhaps? No, I'm just kidding.
no. Well, he had to be straight.
I've
'cause-
come for the booty.
Yeah, exactly.
Anastasia Steele. You best be believing in ghost stories, Miss Steele. You're in one.
Yeah, that was so we just did it so it would be more entertaining and less dreary. But yeah, that whole book was just like there is obviously a serious compulsion in women to submit. And they don't want to admit it, and they want to think that this is something that's inflicted on them by men. But I think that instead of it actually being inflicted on them by men, I think it's more that men and women and older women who actually have some sense massage that into, no, don't submit to, handsome sociopathic Anatole. Submit to conscientious, moral, dignified, other, like a male character that's like somebody better than that.
Aragorn.
Sorry?
Aragorn.
Aragorn. Yeah,
Like the
submit
best
to,
guy I can think of. Yeah.
yeah, at the moment. So they just move
Instead of the
with
Sasquatch.
and then the whole thing with Christianity is you're submitting to a man who is moral, ethical, puts your interests first,
Yeah.
Community leader, that kind of thing.
Chaste.
Not driven by his sexuality into strange and places, perhaps, and that's kind of the thing. You massage it towards something more socially productive, shall we say. And then when you unleash it, you find out that no, women don't want to submit to socially productive stuff. Minotaurs and sociopaths.
Yeah, minotaurs and psychos. All right.
Okay.
Women like, oh my gosh, I had to, whatever. Women were really in fuego about this book. And
it's gotten worse.
Read it, you're like,
The fuck is
honestly,
going on?
I've been to church services that are more erotic than this. This is actively.
Okay, so I have some firsthand experience of this. I was the cover of a bunch of dark.
This is like the best part.
Sorry.
This conversation here is like the best part. It's the most interesting.
Yeah. So Chris Williamson said that he used to model for dark romance novels.
Oh no! Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Oh God, no! It's gonna get. Does it really turn bad?
No, well, let's just listen.
Okay.
Okay, so I have some firsthand experience of this. I was the cover of a bunch of dark romance novels in my 20s.
Sorry?
I was the cover model of some dark romance novels in my 20s. You do not need to Google them.
You were the Fabio of the UK?
Yeah, Dorian Gray. Dorian Gray, but with a British accent.
Actually?
Yeah, I did every red.
Why did my producers tell me this? Let me check the booking sheet here.
I did every red flag that your future son-in-law should not have. Male model, DJ, nightclub promoter, all of the red flags. My point is, I was a part of this in very tangentially, right? You do modeling. Sometimes a photo gets taken, an author says, "Oh, that's great. That can be like the muse idea for the front cover of this book. Would I be able to buy it?" And I'm 20. I'm like, "Yeah, sure. You pay $1,000 and you get my photo. That's great. I'm on the cover of a book. Like, isn't that great?" A little bit darker and more raunchy than I might have anticipated. My mum, when she found out that her son was on the cover of a book, said, "Oh, it'd be lovely. I'd love to read it." And I'm like, this isn't Harry Potter. You're not reading this book. Anyway.
Please tell me he avoided going to the conventions.
Well, let's see. I don't know if there were. He said it's his 20s. I don't know how old he is now. I think he's in his 40s at this point.
Yeah, this is pretty typical. Well, when was this published? I found it.
You found Chris Williamson's book, the Dorian Gray thing? All right.
Yep.
Well, don't show me. I don't want to know.
Well, it's not that bad. It's not actually that bad. In terms of dark fantasy, it's sort of tame.
Well, it was probably an old book. I bet it's probably gotten a lot worse lately. That's why.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
What was interesting was the timing of 50 Shades coming out and the sort of archetypes that you saw within the dark romance genre. Very much typically masculine men, heavy brow, big hands, lumberjack, plaid shirt, man stuff, big chest, muscular, in a position of prestige, typically dominant, typically wealthy. Not succumbing to just not particularly of the ilk that the modern world was telling men that they should be more of, especially post Me Too. And this is an uncomfortable circle to square if you want to try and marry these two worlds together, right?
No, it's not. It is absolutely like this is what women want. they want, paradoxically, they want a really hot man who with a sociopathic personality style, but will actually get in a relationship with them that is not fraught with the usual bullshit that psychopath, like antisocial men bring. Well, you can't have that. Right? And expecting men to embody that is ridiculous. Okay? And I think that's
Yep.
part of the reason why men who were not as this is another screenshot that's little freaking unflattering. But anyway, he looks like he's just touched an electrical fence a little. But asking men to, I think this is one reason why men who are more on the left and more liberal were drawn to feminism, because it promised that they could become more whole. They could have that pressure to be super alpha taken off them. Of course, it didn't. It just added additional pressure. That you were supposed to be this unrelenting alpha character, but also, capable of being beta but capable of putting understanding and putting all of her emotional needs and getting all of her everything else. So it's like alpha plus was what feminists actually ended up landing on. So
Well,
I
they
mean, I
lied to
would,
those men, and yeah, I
yeah,
think that those men thought, like,
yeah,
feminist
but the other
men
thing is,
thought that, like, being like a feminist man was their way of beating the alpha, so they were still engaging in, like, sexual
yeah, it's not just
competition,
beating the
but just
alpha, but
working
just
with bad information.
simply being, no, it's more than just beating the alpha. It's being fully yourself, right? Being able to express your vulnerabilities and your fears, and having a partner who's not going to run away if you do so. And that's what feminism sold them. Didn't deliver in any capacity. So when he's saying, oh, well, this is what women really want. Yeah, but what women really want right now is destroying our society. And it's also not making them happy. So maybe instead of saying, well, men should be like that, we should say, women, this is not good for you. Going after Anatole instead of Pierre is not good for you. It's a War and Peace reference. Although Natasha did eventually go after Pierre. So, and her original love was Anthony. No, oh God, Russian names. Russian names are like double pronunciation for me. Difficult to even remember. But anyway, we need to go back to telling women that not all of their impulses are beneficial, good, or should be celebrated in public. Okay? And I
Yeah.
don't know if that's where he's going with that, but let's
There's a
go.
bit more. I can keep
Okay.
going.
So what they did was they tried to make romance novels more in keeping with the sort of archetype that modern men were perhaps supposed to be, a more agreeable, softer sort of man. And these are referred to as cinnamon roll husbands or golden retriever husbands. And they wrote romance novels about this story arc, right? This was the kind of archetype that was going on. Shock, horror, they did not sell, right? Women were not buying the golden retriever husband, cinnamon roll husband story arc. They wanted the Dorian Gray archetype.
How shocking.
Not at all shocking. Although it's funny though, because there does seem to be a kind of woman that likes the Hallmark movie guy, but
Yeah.
he is a little bit more of that kind of Chad guy, like, girl from the city goes to her small town, and right, there's like a guy there, and he's like, he works with his hands, and he runs you know a veterinary clinic that only deals with puppies. He's down home and simple, but she likes him, right? But
Yeah,
you know
there it
what I'm
is.
talking about?
Yeah, I absolutely know what you're talking about, but that's very much associated, I think, with more religious
That's kind
women.
of like, I don't know, women like paradoxes. They're drawn because
Yeah.
they want to work in, like, the big city. So usually these girls in these stories are like, high flying female lawyer, or paralegal or entrepreneur or something, left her small town to find herself in Manhattan, got a big job, very powerful, lots of powerful friends, makes a lot of money, but then she has to go home for the holidays to, like, middle America somewhere, small town farm, bumps into a guy, and he's like, like the simplest man, but something endearing, something about him, so
What is special check spazzing? Yes, immoral Christians don't exist. What the hell? Where did that come from? There's
I
no
don't know. That
nuance to
person
be
is
found
just
here.
being a bit weird.
Y'all
Like,
realize that people aren't
there's
wolves.
no nuance to be found here. What are you talking about? Like, you're not even listening,
No,
homie.
he's not. He's just
You're just
knee-jerking
like, I
over.
don't like that you just said something nice about Christianity.
Mhm.
And you're the ones with no nuance. Yes,
Yeah.
there are people who are not good at being Christians. That doesn't mean anything about the whole religion, okay? But anyway,
Okay, and what is this? You realize that people aren't wolves. Well, actually, technically, wolves are currently being looked at as the best biological, like anthropological model of our early evolution because they have a lot of the same social structures and behaviors. So they're actually closer in that sense. It's like a parallel evolution. They're not closer genetically, but they're closer than our nearest relatives, which are the chimps or the bonobos, and they're much more close to what we are. And I'm sure what you're thinking about is the alpha beta thing. Probably he knee jerked because we talked about alphas, but it's like, yes, that's a concept in romance novels. We're not talking about alphas as like the ideal man. In fact, I think I explicitly said that isn't ideal. That actually a society is more functional when it teaches women to go after men who are normal, conscientious, hardworking, good providers like their kids. Okay? And when they teach women not to go completely bonkers when said men have any kind of issue or problem or, emotion. What's up with you? You're scritching. You're scritching constantly. I think she's having some kind of allergy attack. All right, let's keep going.
all right, a little bit more.
Is that?
What the heck does nuance mean to
Did
these
you
people?
read any of the books?
No.
You should go back and read your own books. And I bet you would find them not only non-erotic, but like anti-erotic. Like, these are your fantasies, really?
What are the...
I think every man thinks that female sexual fantasies are like pillow fights in the sorority house.
Why
Those
would
are
you
male
think
sexual
that?
fantasies.
those are male. No, it's just, I think guys think that about girls, but that's what guys want, girls pillow fighting in a sorority house. Because it's soft and feminine, I guess. I don't know. Okay, I got a Rumble rant from NovaFan21. Thank you, NovaFan. Gives $1 and says, judging from the way Tucker Carlson describes the woman he brings up, I'd imagine listening to the women in his life share how they prevented girls from becoming feminists might be more enlightening. Well, yeah, that would be, but I don't think Chris Williamson wouldn't ask that question because they're not ready to. The one thing that's for sure, at least for Chris Williamson, is he's not ready to say, you know what, feminism was a mistake. I think Tucker would say that, but I don't think Williamson would. Benny Adams gives us $5 super chat. Thank you, Betty. He says the alpha male paradox is much, much older than you think. In 1485, Sir Mallory wrote, quote, "Thou wert the meekest man," end quote, says Sir Ector to the dead Lancelot. Is it Lancelot? It's spelled a little bit different. Then says, quote, "Thou wert the meekest man that ever ate in hall among ladies, and thou wert the sternest knight to thy mortal foe that ever put spear in the rest," end quote. C.S. Lewis addressed it extensively in his work on chivalry. All right, thank you for that, Betty Adams. Meek doesn't necessarily mean weak, though. It's more like the hobbits in the Shire,
Yeah.
That's when the saying "the meek shall inherit the earth" is referring to the stout, enduring, like the Shire folk is like that. So it's not weakness. That's not weakness. But anyway, okay.
Female sexual fantasies tend to be much more about power than men's sexual fantasies, I have noticed. And
presumably an imbalance of power.
Yeah, where they're on the, on the weaker side. And they're, some of them are not. I mean, no one ever wants to be honest about anything, basically. Lying just kind of dominates every public conversation. And I'm not attacking anybody. I've just noticed this because I'm interested. And no, they're all, I don't think women want to be dehumanized or ignored or treated like children. I don't think that.
Really?
But,
and yet that's what's in their
men are
fantasy?
Well, I mean, isn't it also the case, and again, I don't read these things, but isn't it also the case that in these, like 50 Shades of Grey, Christian, the sex is violent and everything, but there is like supposedly it's like Twilight, like he can destroy her, but he doesn't. So there's like this weird, like she is weaker but has power over him in some way. Is that not a thing? Like, do you guys know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know.
that sell sex novels that sell to women are not sexually arousing to men at all, I have found. And again, they're all about being dominated. Like, that's what it is.
One caveat to put in there is
I'm really bothered by it. I just want to be totally clear. I don't like that. I don't like all the weird power dynamic stuff, but whatever, they like it. And so
Yeah. He's talking in generalities, guys. He should have said not all. Otherwise, we have to stop listening. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't think. Let me see.
You know what? This is good. I mean, I think it's just
Yeah,
a
I
really
think we
quiet
basically
day.
covered it.
Yeah, this is pretty low key, except for the end where we started hitting on women's porn habits. Let's be honest.
Well, they do talk about how there was something interesting too, and I could just summarize it, I guess. Um, Chris Williamson makes the point that, and he's saying it's because of Me Too, but I think this is like before that. It's not an aftershock of it, but basically like women or Me Too has created a situation, or women or feminism or whatever has created a dynamic where men who are probably like more gentle, more probably like more likely to be like husband and father material because they
Mhm.
are more cooperative, because they are more willing to try to be, listening to women's concerns. That's what you want in like a life partner, right?
Mhm.
They're not approaching because of Me Too, because they're listening to what women said when women said, "Don't approach us." So the only men that are approaching are the ones that don't care.
Yep.
The ones that did that, and they would have done it anyways, right? They would have done it
Mhm.
no matter what. And so women are only being approached by like, dark triad men, basically. And the other men, the majority of men, the decent guys, they're not approaching. And we've talked about that on the show, but Tucker and Chris are realizing that this is the dynamic that created. So they're like, this is the problem, because like, decent guys are not going to do that. So there is a time code for that. I don't know if you want me to find it, um but yeah,
Sure.
it's like an hour and 46 minutes. Or we can
No,
or we
I
can
think
just
you know what? I think we're good. I think
yeah, I think this is all stuff we've covered before, so
yeah, this has been very low key, I think. Like people have been like, I guess they wanted the fire and we brought the tea. You know.
I mean, I don't know, like what I don't know that I could really yell at them for this. I mean, like this isn't
Yeah.
like a crazy feminist saying kill all men. This is just like a couple of blue pill guys, and they're like, something's wrong. And that's it. Like that's what the video is.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. No, you're right.
You
You're
know.
right. Okay. So I don't think I have anything more to say. Do you want to look at anything more? You know what? I'm gonna make an executive decision. I'm good.
Okay.
I think
We
everybody's
can
in the
by me?
holly. I think everybody's in like the Thanksgiving mindset. I'm not sure. Is this weekend Thanksgiving for you guys?
No.
Not yet. Okay.
Thanksgiving is the last week of November, which is 2 weeks from today. Well, 2 weeks
Okay.
from yesterday.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it's so quiet, but it is. It's really, really quiet. It's been a quiet
Yeah.
day. All right. So I'm going to say, if you would like to support the show, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/support. Very important to do so we can continue to bring you this analysis. Yeah, the analysis was a little bit relaxed today more than anything, but I think we are pretty much the only ones who talk about this in the way that we do. So feedthebadger.com/support. And feedthebadger.com/justthetip if you have anything that you want to comment on, you want to send us an idea, or just want to give us a tip because you enjoyed the content. So once again, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And I'm going to hand it back to you, Brian, for, if you have any final thoughts, feel free.
No, I mean, I think that's good. Like, honestly, I watched it and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Because I've always had like some criticisms of Chris Williamson, and I still think that he's not ready to like confront the actual like problem. He won't go to the women question, but that's okay. I think that it's inevitable, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this is one of those things that you're not going to get away from. At some point you're going to have to confront it, and just be ready for that because it is inevitable. So anyway, but yeah, I thought it was okay. And I have I I would say I have like did we go into it the when Nick Fuentes was on there, and he had a pretty good rant we could look at another time, where I think he's more grounded in what's going on, because Chris Williamson is like older, in good shape. If he's straight, because I'm not really sure he is, and not that that's a problem, but if he's straight, he's probably got a woman. And Tucker is a old Gen Xer, married with kids. So like, these guys are not in the world, like they're not experiencing what's happening,
Yeah.
and people like Nick are. So I think that that's why, like, I mean, he's a virgin by choice, but like, um, I think that the younger guys are the ones that are really seeing how things are playing out. And I think that they're probably going to be more tuned in. And these
Yeah.
guys are
No,
looking
I get you.
backwards and they're like, what? Why are you struggling? I didn't struggle, right? So, um, but yeah. So no, I
No,
didn't say
definitely.
Chad Williamson. I said Chris Williamson.
Chad Williamson. You can show the link. It's not at all like salacious.
Oh, do you want me to put that?
Yeah,
Not
like
salacious.
it's not really. I'm
Okay.
sure that he would. I don't know if he'd appreciate it, but yeah, this is it. Like, I sent it to you.
Oh,
It's not
Ricochet.
Ricochet. Yeah,
This is
like
so cringe.
yeah.
Ricochet. Revenge isn't sweet. It's bulletproof.
Yeah, you could read it. Like, this is a dark romantasy.
This is dark romantasy. This is tame.
Yeah.
The only sure way to destroy a man is to take what he cannot live without. 3 years ago, I had everything: a beautiful wife, a son, a reason for living. Until a ruthless task force, assembled under Mayor Michael Culling, is that really the name? With a brutal strategy to make the streets of Detroit safe, ripped away everything I loved in a deadly hunt called the Culling. Get it? Because his name is Michael Culling. They tried to kill me too. I wish they had. Now I'm cursed by the memories of that night and the words I whispered to my dying wife, a promise to avenge the wrong and set it right. I am no longer Nick Ryder.
All right. You know what, Chris? It's not.
Wait. The name. I am no longer Nick Ryder. I am a masked vigilante, faceless, loveless, fearless. A man with nothing left to lose. The one who's seen the dark and violent truth behind the city's flawless veneer. Michael
Of
Culling doesn't know
Detroit?
who I am or what I want. All he
Of
knows is that I've kidnapped his beautiful wife. An eye for an eye. Isn't that how the saying goes? And Aubrey Culling is the perfect pawn to destroy him, if she doesn't destroy me first. Oh, so it's about a vigilante who kidnaps the wife of a mayor, and is going to use it for revenge, but she seduces him, or he seduces her, or
Yeah,
something.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah. The worst part, the cringiest part of this is it's obviously not the sex and the sexual
No, no,
content.
no, no.
No.
By the way, I forgot to mention this. I think we should definitely look into this. Okay, there is
Okay.
a show. I think it's on Hulu, and it's
Mm-hmm.
called All's Fair. Have you heard about this?
Yes, I have. I
With
have heard
Kim
about it.
Kardashian. I hear it is the worst show. I heard it would red pill the most pink haired feminist. This is what I heard. So I may have to try to watch it so that we could. It's probably hilarious. Like I hear it's very bad. Like Kim Kardashian acting. That's all you need to know. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I've said enough. I'm done.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, feedthebadger.com/just a tip if you want to send us a tip. Look forward to maybe we'll do this things that are being suggested. I apologize to Chris Williams. He's never going to see this, but you know, this is really tame, my dude. No doubt, really tame considering what is coming out in dark romance today. It just sounds sort of a little corny. So that's about the only thing that I would be ashamed of. The slightly large amount of canned corn in it. But that's not your fault. It's the fault of the author. Anyway, feedthebadger.com/just a tip to send us a message and a tip with that message. Boy, you really are scritching. And feedthebadger.com/support to help us out. And Brian, take it away.
All right. Well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on this show. What do you think about Nick Ryder, the vigilante?
Chris Williamson as
Mayor
Nick
Culling?
Ryder.
Just the story. I don't know. Like, should this be a movie? All right. And please share this video because sharing is caring. This is what happens, by the way, when women write, like, you know, stories that involve like task forces. And please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.